Hey guys, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. Around the time of Ahsoka Season 1, I made a video talking about Chopper and the insane kill count of everyone's favourite C1 droid. But I learned a statistic that absolutely blew my mind. Are you ready for this? When it comes to Force users, Ahsoka Tano has a much higher kill count than Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker. Undeniably, Ahsoka is one of the most skilled warriors and lightsaber users in the Star Wars franchise, but it might come as a surprise to some to find out she has more confirmed kills than her master. During the Clone Wars, Anakin and Ahsoka saw an incredible amount of action, despite how young she was, and the graphic nature of what Padawans had to endure and witness during the war was put on display in the Clone Wars flashback in Ahsoka Season 1, but still, despite Anakin's rage and combat skills, despite Order 66, despite Darth Vader being a killing machine and being responsible for multiple genocides, he still possesses a lower kill count than Ahsoka, his former Padawan. And this statistic comes from fandom.com, which documents kill counts by number in an extensive list, one which is regularly updated and which they say accounts for on-screen media like the shows and the films, but also literature, novels and comics. Overall, Ahsoka comes in 5th, with 4,002,915 confirmed kills, while Anakin / Vader's combined kills rank at number 14, with a combined total of 153,232. So how is it that Ahsoka Tano, a Padawan for most of her time on screen, is somehow more deadly than Darth Vader? Well, considering in the Disney era, Ahsoka has had much more screen time, appearing for longer in more projects, I guess it makes sense. Any kills, as small as they may be, add up very fast. She's also alive during multiple time periods, the Clone Wars, Age of the Empire, the New Republic, and she was really on the front line of the Clone Wars. Ahsoka fought against droid armies and separatist forces, whereas after Anakin turned to the dark side, he primarily dealt with organic beings. Ahsoka had more extensive screen time in combat, and to this end, there was a different narrative focus. But because the list takes into account droids, including battle droids, super battle droids, and other droids of the CIS during the Clone Wars, those probably represent a majority of Ahsoka's kill count. And look, I'm just as confused as you might be about this. Anakin was also on the front lines, as Darth Vader was similarly a murderer, but I suppose, for whatever reason, Ahsoka has a higher tally overall. I was just thinking, even at age 9, Anakin blew up a Trade Federation ship by accident. You would assume even that would have boosted the numbers quite a bit. And in the Vader comics, I can think of hundreds of occasions where Vader goes on killing sprees. But I should say one major consideration is these are confirmed kills. Darth Vader did so much more damage off screen. So just out of curiosity, let's take a look at the list. Right at the top, with get ready for it, 155,572,361,721 kills, Armitage Hux from the sequel trilogy. And you're probably thinking, how in the world is the number this large? Well, remember in The Force Awakens, he used the Starkiller weapon to destroy the 5 planets of the Hosnian system, and that saw the destruction of the Galactic Senate and the home fleet of the New Republic Defense, as the conflict between the First Order and the Resistance then escalated into full, open warfare. You guys remember the speech? All remaining systems will bow to the First Order, and will remember this as the last day of the Republic. You know, say what you will about the character, I thought Domhnall Gleeson did a great job, and I'm really excited we get to see his dad in the Mandoverse. He is a very important character to what the Mandalorian is leading to, but I didn't realise that Armitage Hux was responsible for this many deaths. I wouldn't have predicted 155 billion. Then we have Darth Nihilus, and if you know anything about him, this makes sense. Force draining on a galactic scale, which allowed him to consume the life energy of individuals, entire populations, and even planets. Unlike the majority of Sith, who killed through more traditional uses of the dark side, Nihilus could use the Force to absorb the life of countless beings at once, feeding on them. This power made him a living wound in the Force, driven by an insatiable hunger for life, and a disregard for it too. And my fellow fans of the Old Republic will no doubt remember the infamous destruction of Qatar, a world populated by Miraluka, a Force-sensitive species. The planet had become a gathering place for Jedi after the Civil War. Nihilus, as you might expect, sensed the immense concentration of Force users and consumed the life of everyone on that world. There was but one survivor, who Nihilus allowed to live, Visas Ma. So next on the list we have Will of Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, 2 billion. This of course takes into account Project Stardust, the Death Star, the population of Alderaan, parts of Scarif and Jeddah. But while the homeworld of the Organas is the most significant factor we often take into account, Tarkin also held a powerful role in the Imperial hierarchy, commanding large portions of the Navy, overseeing military operations, which oftentimes resulted in widespread death and destruction across various planets in the galaxy. He was a ruthless enforcer of the Emperor's will. Tarkin had very little consideration for life, and lived by a doctrine of fear. He was literally the architect for the Tarkin Doctrine, which advocated the Empire using fear and overwhelming force to maintain control of the galaxy and dissident worlds. This doctrine emphasized using the Death Star and other weapons to subjugate numerous star systems, ensuring that any potential rebellions were crushed before they could even begin. And if you're interested in more about this, I have a new video up on Patreon which goes into great depth about how evil the Empire was, and focusing in on certain figures, including Tarkin. Then we have Director Krennic, similar kind of deal with the Death Star, and I'm almost certain Andor Season 2 is going to increase this number substantially. The number currently stands at 11,300,000, but it's still nowhere near Tarkin. And then number 5 on the list, our first light side user, Ahsoka Tano, and then behind her, a close 6th, Barriss Offee. Number 7 really surprised me. Wrecker from the Bad Batch, 2,451,227. He's killed a lot of clankers. No real surprise, the rebel hero of the second Death Star comes next, Lando Calrissian, and then close in at number 9, Luke. I'm pretty surprised Luke's number is so small. Luke Skywalker's kill count is represented by the destruction of the first Death Star, which had around 1 to 1.5 million personnel, then indirect deaths from Imperial retaliation, then the Battle of Hoth, the Battle of Endor, the Battle of Jakku, and I'm sure much more in the Mandoverse, before the events of the sequel trilogy where he's exiled on Ahch-To. One of the characters I was really surprised to see on the other end of the scale was Shaak Ti, the Jedi with multiple death scenes. She didn't have much screen time during the prequel trilogy and Clone Wars series. The majority of the kills we know are from the Battle of Geonosis. In the Clone Wars, she was protecting Kamino and was involved in the Battle of Kamino, but doesn't have a high kill count. She's one of those Jedi who doesn't show much aggression. I love her story in Legends, I loved her appearance in the Force Unleashed games, but the one thing to know about a character like Shaak Ti, devoted to the peaceful traditions of the Jedi Code. A little known fact is that because she replaced Jedi Master Yaddle on the Council after she died at the hands of Count Dooku, Shaak Ti tried to replicate that calm, thoughtful, collected nature which she already had, but she also wanted to continue Yaddle's legacy, bringing with her a meditative, ruminative, and tranquil presence. But what do you guys think? How do you feel about Ahsoka having a higher kill count than Darth Vader? Did any of the characters surprise you? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.